It's a little concerning for there to be only Smurf on tank.
Oh.
I think Seoul is the most likely team if you want to dethrone Shanghai. I'm just like fucking over this absolutely like piggybacking like good for nothing else Mercy playing, Lucio playing motherfuckers that like are by far the least requiring role in the Overwatch League.
And we're going to be talking about the Seoul Dynasty, which is Yiska's favorite team.
It is.
And
now we're rubbing hands.
I grab.
I can't
wait grab the
team, man.
This is gonna be a spicy one. I can feel it in the bones.
I guess this will do. So Seoul Dynasty. This is a very interesting team because I think for the entirety of their existence as a franchise, they've made that one finals in 2020, but aside from that, it's not been the greatest run for them. And even that one finals in 2020, most people kind of take that away from them and they're like, oh, they didn't deserve to be there, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean,
got reverse swept.
Even the one, they did get reverse swept. That was a really good match, though. I love that. I love that game.
Fearless
That was
came out of the fucking
hyperbolic time chamber
and just.
So I'm not talking about that finals. I'm talking about the league finals.
The grand finals.
Finals. Okay, yeah.
But you just also remind us of that, the stage finals as well.
Yeah.
Where they went 3-0 up. They need one more map and they got reverse swept by Shanghai.
Tragedy.
So Seoul still titleless.
Yeah.
They've made playoffs. They've done better than some teams. Like I think Houston have not made playoffs.
Houston and Justice, I think.
Those are the only teams that have made playoffs. So Seoul's
that's not right.
deep.
No,
Seoul's run as deep as
Toronto
place.
and
you're right.
There you go.
Imagine this podcast forgetting to hate on Toronto Defiant. Couldn't it be us?
I was going to say you guys have done plenty of Toronto discussion.
True.
So we're gonna leave Toronto out of it this time. They've had their turn. So Seoul Dynasty now. Fitz, Prophet, Stalker, Smurf, Creative, Vindame. They've kept Creative, Fitz, and Prophet.
Yep.
Fitz and Prophet not argue. They just are the best parts of that team. They've changed up their coaching lineup as well. So Toby has rejoined the roster from Fusion, and now he is the head coach. They've retained MMA. Wizard Yong's joined the roster. I think was he there last year? I don't think he was.
I think it's a good question. I don't remember. I don't think
no,
so.
No, he wasn't. He joined November last year. So he joined in it last year.
Oh, this is his second stint.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So Wizard Hyung has come back with Toby. MMA's been there since 2019. Changun's gone over towards the Spark now. And this team has picked up Vindame from, I was going to say their academy team. Technically speaking, he was a Gen G player. Vindame was on Gen G, and his contract was still owned by Gen G and Seoul. He was on loan to O2 Blast. So he played for O2 Blast, got a title with O2 Blast, but his contract was owned by Seoul, so they could just yoink him anytime they wanted. And they definitely did that. They're like, what's that? We have a player in O2 Blast who won. Yoink, that's ours. So bad luck, everyone else. Creative comes back. Pretty underrated player. Stalker comes in from their Gen G lineup as well. So 2 promotions there. Smurf they bring over from the Shock. So not only this is what Seoul do to a motherfucker. They steal 2 players from the Shock. You know, Vindame can't. They don't get Vindame over, and they, to be honest, probably wouldn't anyway because of Violet. Oh, actually, no, they would because then Violet wouldn't have to play Lucio. So they don't. So Shock can't get the O2 main support. That's not called Chio. And they can't get Vindame now. They lose Smurf to Seoul as well. Although maybe I don't know if they would have kept both Smurf and Super. Maybe they would have just only kept. My point is, Seoul have picked up some interesting good pieces, and I like a lot. The Smurf, Vindame, Stalker triple piece that they picked up is very fucking nice. Now, do have to bring up, they lost Jonak due to, was it medical? Was it medical?
To be honest.
We don't know. It is curious that Jonak, I believe, is like still actively playing ladder.
Correct.
So who knows? Here's something you have to understand about Jonak's contract. It's still owned by Seoul. So if Jonak returns to the Overwatch League, he's back on Seoul.
Yep.
Whether he's playing or not, his contract is owned by Seoul, so he's back on Seoul.
Correct.
Naturally, he can't go to another team unless he's traded to another team. Yep. So he's currently out, he's nowhere. But if he does come back, he's on Soul. So if you like Jonak, well done. You still have him, technically speaking.
Yeah.
Now, I think this roster is sick. I think even without Jonak, I think this roster is sick. I think people are down on the roster because they lost Jonak. Like, oh, creative. But I think people are down on creative a little bit unfairly.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a player that has a lot. So I'm big on creative to be honest with you.
I mean,
And I think this is one of the best DPS lines, generally speaking, as well.
Oh yeah, that's nuts.
I think that's fine and dandy to be high on creative, but I'd much rather still pick 2 flex supports if I have the option, right? Like 2 flex supports seems like a high probability of being meta at this stage. So,
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Anything could happen. Anything could happen.
I mean,
I think
really, the answer is
you're fully gambling on like if you want double flex support, you're fully gambling on one of them to be able to play a main support because they don't.
You have to, dude. You have to prepare for both. You have to prepare for both.
I'm just like fucking over this. Absolutely, like piggybacking, like good for nothing else. Mercy playing, Lucio playing motherfuckers that like are by far the least requiring role in the Overwatch League have been riding.
What does that mean?
Like if that shit wasn't so boring, like to play, then that role would be highly oversaturated, right? Yes, there's
boring? Really
interesting.
There's like this.
I don't get it.
This.
I'm gonna take a nap while Yiska does this.
I mean, come on. Is main support, if that still exists, let's say, hypothetically, in Overwatch 2, is it not clearly the least skill requiring role and clearly the talent, the role with the least skill?
We don't know. We don't know. How do you know?
Even then, you
still
still even then you still need if we get into a meta where Lucio is important, you still need that guy.
Yep.
Otherwise, you get Violet Lucio.
Yep.
Lucio is not a character.
So what? I don't mind that. I don't think there's a tangible difference anymore.
To what? What do you? No. You cannot just you cannot pick up Lucio as a character just off the bat unless you are really good at Overwatch. You can't. It is impossible.
Here we go.
There's too many rollouts. Too many.
So basically, all of the league now.
Doubtful.
What?
Highly doubtful.
What do you mean all the league? I'm confused.
I don't think there's.
He's saying there's a lot of good players in the league.
That there are. How many
pick up Lucio?
How many on one hand can you name that have careers that have stage time on Lucio? Or are you just guessing?
No, but like the thing is, a role that's being held alive by one hero, should die.
I mean, I don't hate the logic.
Guys.
I don't at all. I just think you're wrong.
Is BAP a main support to you?
He's actually both.
No.
BAP's both. BAP is both.
Okay, so then
I would agree though.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the bone I'll throw to Yiska. Brig is slowly melding into both as well.
Yes.
So
No,
you're
it's
at the
worse.
point where
Every flex support player is better at Brig.
So we're getting to the point now where main support is literally just Mercy and Lucio.
Yes, and
Because-
it never was more.
Because guess what? Moira is even considered a flex in
Yeah.
some positions as well because you get guys like Fielder playing Moira, right?
Fucking
a lot
Moira,
of-
man.
You know,
Like,
Well, Moira
So-
wasn't like
so
the
right now, the bone I'll throw to Yiska is that if you get a main support, you're basically just getting a Mercy Lucio player. But here's, I mean, I don't agree with everything Yiska said, but what I'm going to try and bridge here in terms of the gap is that, to me, the support role I would like to see evolve. We're not even talking about Soul anymore, guys. For fuck's sake, the support role, to me, should just be a support role. I think the whole flex main thing can eventually just die, and we just have support players that just play everything. That would be the ideal solution.
Yeah.
But cool. Now that we finished the podcast about not Soul, we can start talking about Soul again.
Yeah.
What are people's macro thoughts on this team?
No, you just could take this one actually. No,
sure.
It's his baby.
This
is baby.
Okay, real talk. To be fair, let me get my caveats out before I,
Oh, okay.
It's a little concerning for there to be only Smurf on tank.
Oh, okay, we're aligned. I'm
Okay,
interested.
Hang on, you trust
okay.
you trust Garga, but you don't trust Smurf.
You have my
Correct. Because Smurf's career is already one where he split the main tank role with another main tank.
Preach.
Right?
That's Krusty's decision.
Yes, but like
That's the crack pipe being smoked. That's not. I think that's a shock thing. I think Smurf on any other team would just be a starter.
right. But that doesn't
yeah.
mean he would have the same quality on all of his picks. Because he has to split practice time on them.
Mm.
I can't evaluate Smurf's ability to flex on everything like Fate can
Mm-hmm.
when he is sitting there splitting time with, the other guy everyone thinks is the best main tank in Overwatch League history. So, there's some concern here. I also concern spotted. Here's the copium. I feel like during the offseason, especially Arnold has been signaling that they are open to the idea that DPS players will pick up tanks if needed. And
I think everyone's open to that idea, and that's
yeah, but I think like legit, like if for instance, let me think about. I think there's a world where Prophet plays a considerable amount of tank this season.
Mm-hmm.
Doom is rumored to be tank, no? Rumored?
Rumored. I mean, it is.
No, that's
Oh,
confirmed
wait,
actually
what?
at this point.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Oh, okay. I remember only
oh, it is
seeing,
yes,
like,
yes, guys, it is confirmed. Yep.
I only remember seeing like the leak photo.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I think the fluidity that gives them theoretically, it's also in my mind, it's not a problem. It's not like I'm thinking, oh my god, you're taking profit off DPS. No, like Stalker is right there, boys. Like that's all fine and dandy. And one of the big things about Prophet is the ability to flex just into just about everything and play it within 95% of the league's best. That's what.
Are we talking about leave or profit? I don't remember.
No Prophet.
Right. Well, Yiska Prophet is they're the same person.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Prophet walked so leave could fly. That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
But so okay, macro overview. I think this is top 2 APAC team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! In the episode, we've already done the ranking. In the episode,
Right. Yeah. And I think I'm more concerned about the lack of a flex support, and I actually do hope that Jonak finds his way back into Overwatch, because if that happens, baby, I might go to the moon with this team.
bro, I already know the solution. Now that you said Prophet's gonna play the tank, he might as well play the flex support too. All right.
Ooh. Now we're
Dude,
talking.
Okay. Here. I got you. Yiska.
Absolutely goated.
Yiska, I got you. Okay. Here's what happens. Okay. Chengdu implodes and they sell off some of their players.
Ooh.
Farway
They get Gaga.
is
Oh.
fluent in Korean. Farway's fluent in Korean and can comment Korean, and they don't get Jonak back, but they get Farway. Boom. I've solved their
Kinda
problems.
nice.
That doesn't feel that good.
You didn't even go for the lowest hanging fruit of putting Prophet and Leave on the same team.
Oh, nut.
I mean, yeah, but we can't do that. That's just...
Here's a problem with your
Can do
little
everything
thing,
we want.
Kenobi. Here's a
What?
problem
It's a
with
toy store.
combining Chengdu. Huh?
We can do everything we want. This is a toy store.
Guys, it's a real shame that the Chengdu players have beef with Seoul. Anyway, so
Pain.
wow, we're talking about Seoul. That's right, we're talking about Seoul Dynasty. So
Mhm.
so you don't trust. Okay, let's talk about the tank line. Let's just start with the tank. We usually start with DPS. Let's start with the tank line. You don't trust Smurf on solo. Now, I still don't. Oh, you guys suck. I still don't prescribe to the whole like, oh, he was splitting time with Super. I'm like, yeah, that's just Krusty, popping a couple puffs on the crack pipe. That's not like a normal. if he
But he
again,
wasn't
if Smurf-
playing it.
huh?
But he like it's like he just okay. If he's like if they were just like okay, so Smurf, you're playing Winston and you're playing Orisa. That's fucking it. You don't get to play anything else, fortunately. And it's just like you come in to play Ryan or no, you come in to play Winston and Orisa. That's literally all you're playing.
Yep.
And so like in competitive games, he does not have the same amount of practice in like highly competitive games. Scrims, yeah, whatever. But in like high intensity games, he does not have the same practice on things like the Reinhardt, things like the.
You guys are way over, or you Kenobi are way over emphasizing the importance of that. I don't think that's a big a deal to me.
Okay.
Why?
I'll take scrims off. I'll take scrims over that. That's fine.
You
I'll
see how
just-
that? I mean, you see
I'll
how that's
take
worked out for
mechanical
Yiska,
practice.
and you're still gonna do that?
I don't. It didn't work out that badly. I had like there were two teams that missed, but Houston was pretty good as foretold.
Also,
As
you are also
Joe didn't.
you were like sticking on to some like weird thing about scrimbucks translating to like match results in a game where a single patch drops and everything changes
Look,
anyway. I don't care about that. I don't care about the result. I'm talking about from an individual player mechanics standpoint. If you're practicing that in scrims and you're doing that against good players, which they are going to be when you're scrimming, that's enough practice. I don't see like
I don't hate that argument either.
difference.
Was he scrimming? Okay, was he scrimming? Was he scrimming the characters that Super were scrimming?
I don't know. But you can't assume he wasn't either. So I'm just going to give.
There would
him the
be
benefit
no
of the doubt.
reason for him to do that if Krusty's crackpipe is saying you're here to play only Orisa and Winston. Why would they ever waste time putting him in a scrim as a Reinhardt player? Why would they do that? Especially when you have Super on the other side. There's literally no reason you can tell me that they would ever put Super in a script, like unless they're really just like maybe we need to choose something about Super. There's literally no reason to not put him on Ryan.
There's
no reason.
Enough. Why
There's
are we
literally
talking
no
about?
reason.
Oh my god, we're so off topic, guys. This is fucking crazy. Like we're talking about something completely stupid right now. Like, that's not how. Not all scrims work in that way. First and foremost, people do get swapped around and get tested on different things to see who's going to be better during what meta and all that kind of stuff. It's not as cut and dry. Okay, I don't know. Like,
but Avril,
on Shock, I think it is.
Your point is well taken. I think like Smurf is clearly skilled enough as one of the few main tanks to be able to flex to the other tanks. But as we said, like time and time again, this is going to be a challenge for any solo tank player this year, right?
I just don't prescribe to like, oh, this guy doesn't have experience on blah blah blah. Because like, bro, if that was the case, then like. Then all tanks just fuck this year. But you'll see when we start the season and a bunch of fucking main tanks are playing D.Va and they're playing D.Va well, everyone's going to be, oh, I didn't know they could play D.Va. It's like, yeah, because guess what? They're actually just good players that can play Overwatch. That's the fucking that's the reason at the end of the day. Just because they didn't fucking play D.Va in an official match doesn't mean they can't fucking play it. Half the fucking main tanks are going to be playing D.Va. You're just going to see that. You are just going to see that. So, I mean, live with that reality now. I don't care about who has time on stage and who doesn't. That's completely irrelevant to me. Anyway, back to discussion on the actual team itself. I mean, I'm pretty big on Smurf solo tank because I had him on when we did the overall draft, not the rookie draft. We did the overall draft. I think I even chose Smurf. I had Smurf as a pretty high caliber value pick for solo. So I rated Smurf light, and to be fair as well, I also think you want to go back to the substitution discussion with him and Super. I think Smurf got a lot more playtime than Super in a lot of cases as well. So
yeah,
I take that.
Yeah,
he did.
That's not wrong.
Okay, I'm a need someone to commit and just like PR suicide on this one because there's only one correct answer here. But if you had to pick between Smurf and Super. And their contribution and importance of their contribution over the Shock's history. Who is it?
Why are we doing this?
It's Smurf.
Yeah, it is Smurf.
Yeah, Smurf.
This is everything else is NA copium.
Yep. Yep. He's definitely unsung in that duo. That said, yeah, I'm not as bullish as AVRL on Smurf. I think that they'll be fine. But yeah, I can't, in good faith, look at somebody who has no track record on flex tanks being incredible. When I judge these teams, I do look at a premium with teams with flex tanks. Obviously, they are generally speaking a little bit more skilled. Do I suspect that Smurf will be playing some flex tanks? 100%. Do I think that Prophet may rotate in? I think it's a possibility. But just in terms of like him solo tanking, yeah, I'm a little interested. I do have some question marks there. If he can perform to the level that we have seen him in the past perform on his main tanks, if he can bring that to the table with something like a Diva or something like a Sigma, we'll have to see. I'm not as high on it.
I think I have them I think as like a tank line, quote unquote. I have them at like 4th. I think Smurf is at the current moment for me. I think like it would probably go the Shanghai tank line, then Gaga, then probably Fury, and then probably Smurf.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Because I just I don't know. I understand like AVRL makes good points and they're definitely facts, but like I have not seen in competitive Smurf playing anything but the two things that he's played. Granted, he's very talented and I think he can probably make something happen, but based on what I've seen, it's been the two main tanks that he's played. That's basically been it. Is he going to be able to translate?
It's just all he's been asked to be played.
Okay, sure, yeah, but that's all we can judge them
on. That's all I can
right?
see. I don't see the scrims, and I don't know. So he's only been able to play those two. He's been very good at them, but can he play everything else? I don't know. He's been playing the same two heroes for the past 2 years. I can't, in good faith. I think
people are going to be really surprised. People are going to be really surprised when they see players playing stuff and like
if he's great. If he's great, if he's up to the level that he was when he was on those other two heroes, then fine. Then like it's fantastic. But I currently I don't have the same faith that I have in him than the other three that I listed. It's just I don't have that.
Crazy. Here's something crazy for you. I trust Smurf more than Gaga. I do.
That's fine. Okay.
I have him above Gaga personally for me.
Okay.
My rank, I would actually have Smurf as second after Lee Jig on Fate. I do. Even above Fury, even above Gaga. I do. I have a lot of trust in Smurf.
Sure. I think that's I'm again, I'd be happy to I'm interested to see
he was good. I'm not saying that Smurf is bad, right? Like it is I'm saying that based on the things that I've seen Gaga play 4 tanks very, very, very well. Extremely well. And was the best ball in the world at one point. He was extremely good at Orisa back in the day. He's very good at Winston. And then the fourth one, I said
Ball, Ryan, Winston, Orisa.
Ryan is like, but like, I've actually witnessed Gaga be good on those 4 heroes. I've witnessed Smurf be good on 2. So I have much more breadth of like the fact that we're going to a game where you have to play a lot. I have more faith in Gaga to switch to those other things.
But okay, AVRL, but you can like we can all agree that if this team had a top tier off tank, that would probably improve the chances of this being a better year, right?
It would elevate them a lot. It would elevate them a lot. I agree.
Yeah. I would really like a second tank on this team.
Yeah,
but it seems like Seoul are content with one. Like they're very confident with the one, and I look at them and be like, let's just steal Fury from Fusion.
Yeah, so pretty much. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Because in Yiska as well, you just go into a
toy store,
shop,
baby.
Go into a toy store with the team's name on it. Like,
yeah, toy store get toy to you.
And just like you look around, and I think that's why you don't even pay. You just snatch them off the shelf and just run away.
You hit him with a hot poach.
You hit him with the Bowser. Just fucking steal the princess. Right.
So get to the. I'll save the DPS for last because that's a nice way to end it. Creative Vindame. Now I talked a little about Vindame already. He did share game time with Chio in O2, and people will assume that Chio was just a better support, but they shared game time pretty evenly, and they both seemed pretty good to me. Like I'd never really got a strong case that Chio was fundamentally better. I would say that they played Vindame mostly for his brig, whereas Chio came in for other things. But I don't think that there's this huge gap that people seem to think that Chio is just way better than Vindame. I think they're both pretty comfortably good, at least from what I could tell. So I think this is a great pickup. I think Seoul invested well into having put this guy into the O2 system while still owning the contract, which means they can just yoink him anytime they want. With Jonak, the support line is definitely better, but people are down on Creative. But I've seen Creative do some really crazy things. When I've watched Creative gameplay, he's one of the few flex supports that his peaks are really high. Sometimes I've seen his peaks, I'm like, man, this guy's playing out of his mind. It's not always been like that. Part of that might have been because of the whole Seoul thing, where Seoul just seemed like a really weird team, where they should be much better, but maybe they choke. I mean, they definitely choke when they get reverse swept by Shanghai in Melee. But yeah, I mean, Seoul choked last year as well. I mean, they failed to get past Chengdu at multiple points to qualify into tournaments. They even make playoffs last year. I think they failed to make playoffs last year, didn't they?
I don't think.
No, they didn't even. I don't think they even made playoffs last year. So yeah, they lost in the play-ins to.
I think it was to Chengdu, if I remember correctly.
Chengdu didn't play the play-ins.
No, I think they got out first.
No, they lost to Philly. So they lost to Philly. So Seoul just kind of hard choked all the last year. And I mean, you could say that their team was probably worse on paper than Philly last year because they still had the gesture Marvel 2U situation going on. I think 2U got a little bit hard done by. I've seen them play well, but whatever. Sabiolby just didn't exist on the roster. They just never played him a single time. People will say what they will want to say about Animo. I don't think he was a big problem, but people don't seem to like him. Seoul were a good team. I think every single week that we watched Seoul last year, there was a good chance that they could win. They were a deadly team that could take a game off of anybody in APAC. They can threaten anybody, and mostly because they're DPS line. But they could never capitalize and actually make a tournament or anything, so they kind of fizzled out. And Creative stocks are just kind of there. And I think a lot of people just put him because he's playing next to Animo and they don't like Animo. They just kind of think he's bad as well by nature of him being next to Animo. You know what I mean? Like by association. So I think that's a little bit unfair, though.
Oh yeah, if you're arguing that, that's dumb.
The tank improvement is the tank improvement plus Stalker is really what sells the team for me. So yeah. I think Creative Vindame is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Creative actually is super duper rated. And I remember like last year when we were doing watch parties and stuff like APAC hours, we were like kind of like, you know, Creative's kind of like not too bad. Like for someone who's like coming in and like, you know, has the pressure of going to Seoul. I think that for him to perform that well in a situation that was not ideal, I think kind of speaks to how good he is. I think that if they can, I think obviously like if Jonak is here, then like it's like way better because Jonak is Jonak. But I think like Creative himself is someone who I think Seoul should be pretty proud of for getting and scouting and that chance pretty early. Yeah. Because I think he's a good little player that they've gotten on now and can build into for the future. Vindame, I'm not as, I think AVRL Vindame is more. I'm much more like known with what Creative when we saw last season, and I think it's good. And I think like this is a support line that I think is pretty up there when we talk about APAC. So I think Dynasty have all the pieces again, just about making.
Yeah,
you're cutting it out a little bit there, but I think I got most of what you said.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. I'd probably echo some similar sentiments. I think Creative has some quite high peaks. I agree. Can perform, is somebody that stands out. I will say inconsistency feels a little aggressive, a little unfair. But it's you see those flashy plays, you see him genuinely be a playmaker, and it's just like why isn't that always happening? I think his floor is very high, to be fair. I think they're competitive. I think they're quite good. Yeah, solid overall. I don't see any faults. I'm not as big on like the double flex support stuff. I think it's a luxury if I'm to be honest. It's a good start. I like it.
What?
Now the best part, yeah, go on.
Why? Literally why? Like why would double flex support? In my mind, okay, where do you lose more performance, do you think? Do you lose more performance putting a flex support on the main DPS role or a main support on the flex DPS role?
Wait, say that one more time for me.
You said DPS twice.
Sorry. If you like, where do you lose more, or who has a harder time switching sub roles? The main support having to play flex support, or the flex support having to play main support?
I know your line of logic. I'm not going to get trapped by that. I'll counter with a question to you. What's been more historical, having a main support or having 2 flex supports? AVRL, back to you.
Damn, Moth Zen was kind of crazy. I remember that was pretty good.
Joe just like looking under all his trap cards, like, well, which one can I use? Which trap card can I activate? That was funny. DPS time.
Yes.
We're not going to get stun locked by some flex sport discussion right now. And we're already 30 minutes in. Okay, we're going to talk about DPS now. They didn't use Sabielby last year. He basically didn't. He wasn't part of the team by all accounts. Now they have a third DPS.
Yes,
and it sounds like they will use the fuck out of him, especially if what Yiska is saying comes to light, with Prophet maybe even flexing to tank to cover for the fact that they don't have a second tank and maybe cover some of Smurf's blind spots. That'd be crazy. Stalker is, unlike how the fans voted for the rookie the rookie draft, they heavily undervalue Stalker when this dude could be really big for Seoul. Like, he's been in the Seoul pipeline for so long. Very flexible, hit scan, projectile, does it all. He's been Genji's most important player for a long time, even through their bad seasons. And even in their bad season, he was the shining light, really pulling the team together. I remember metas where, Tracer metas, he was the Tracer player. Ashe meta, he was the Ashe player. Talk about him being on Genji as well. He's really just played so much. He's been so flexible and so good for Genji. And skill level wise, he's been there as well. He just has never had good pieces around him on Genji to help him out. He's perpetually been the best player on, unfortunately, not a very good team. And, I think the rest of Genji kind of let him down, but now he does have the right pieces around him to make it work. He's with a very good roster, and he doesn't have to be the deadlift guy on the team anymore. I think that's so big for Stalker. So I'm really happy to see him with both Fitz and Prophet. And I think there was some concern or some commentary about him maybe not even getting game time because the Prophet's duo is so good. And I think I even fit into that a little bit with some memeing about the fact here's the best player that'll never be played ever. But I think he actually will get played. I think I've mentioned previously there are plenty of metas where you are going to see Stalker in instead of Fitz if it's a projectile heavy meta. But consider that because Stalker has the Tracer, it's very important. Fitz doesn't have the Tracer. Fitz has the Sombra, he's got the Doom, he's got all the hit scans, right? Very cool, important. But because he doesn't have the Tracer, it's harder to play him around Prophet. Whereas if you have a Tracer player around Prophet, Prophet can now play other things. This is the same thing I was talking about with a Predator and Leave. Now that a Predator can play Tracer, Leave can do other things. This is the same kind of energy. This is the same, the factor on the team that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think agreed. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think as well with the DPS duo, it's even when Stalker was even when Genji was pretty decent when they were that one gauntlet season that they had where they got second. He was I mean, and that team wasn't terrible, and they got to the end, but mostly I think they got that far and they beat a pretty decent runaway team. I think on the way to gauntlet second is they did it because Stalker was literally just 1v9 fucking Tracer. I think that he is probably a contender for Rookie of the Year. Not going. I mean, I have to caveat this every time because people will come at me and just tell me, "You said he was going to be Rookie of the Year." It's no, Proper's going to win it, so he's going to be up there. Though he's a nominee. Got to have nominees sometimes, or else. But I think having Prophet and Fitz is and then Stalker. This is this now is to me a DPS line that I'm this probably competes with number one. And probably competes and is probably overall. I mean, I really like Chengdu's DPS line. This is probably the closest after. I think Shanghai obviously gets number one, and then I think you fight between this Seoul Dynasty lineup and this Chengdu Hunters lineup is the second best one, and then just kind of flip flop them because I think that that's where we're at in terms of the DPS lineups that we have.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I'll go a step further and say that this is the best trio in the world. I think they complement each other so incredibly well, like AVRL said. The meta overlap is there, but in a very productive way. Again, to defer to AVRL, like having that extra tracer player that Fitz just isn't is incredibly beneficial. And then if Prophet does dabble with some tanks, which is a possibility, that opens even more playtime. So yeah, I think this is the best trio in the world, and yeah, I think it's going to be like their shining beacon in a game with such an impact role with DPS coming out at the forefront. Yeah, I think Seoul's going to do incredibly well.
Avril, let me ask you this. In your mind, right? Does it not feel like we have the 4 horsemen of rookies this year in terms of we have Proper, we have a Predator, we have Stalker, and we have MN3. Are those like almost equally matched with Proper being very obviously like the prime guy, but
You gotta
like
be careful. You gotta be careful because the NA fans are like, oh, what
the NA
about
fans are gonna eat you
Speedily?
alive, dude.
Speedily is gonna be rookie of the year.
yeah.
when
After
he plays
he
like,
starts
2
playing when
games.
I get the ballot. Be my guess.
So yeah, you're saying, do we have some sort of insane
Yeah.
rookie? We do have an
Okay,
insane
so but
rookie.
where outside of
Is
Proper,
MN3
where
that
is
good? I know nothing about.
okay? You're about to enter the church, Avril.
Okay. When we get to Philly, we can.
What's the question? I don't know. Did you ask a question? I'm confused.
Right. Like, am I wrong to think like Stalker is up there with the rest of the guys with MN3? With
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just didn't get to play. I still wouldn't put him. He's more flexible than a Predator and MN3, which is fantastic because he's got like a potential. I have to be very hesitant about saying this. I can't. Not unlike most of Reddit, I don't just willy nilly apply a hyperflex label to everybody.
Mhm.
But Stalker's close.
Okay.
He is close. He's getting there. He has the type of hero
He's
pool
edging.
with the game time to prove it as well, that he can flex between roles and be very effective on it and be the core key player. He basically has the kind of characteristics that you want to see in players with MVP level like talents, which is that he can carry a team and can sway a team and can put a whole team in a backpack and force you to win a game that you probably otherwise shouldn't have won.
Yeah.
The kind of leave style stuff, right? And I've seen Stalker do that. I've seen Proper do that, obviously. And Proper could do that on a team where his entire team is stacked and he still looks like the best player. Stalker does it when his team doesn't look great. But my point is, he can drag a team kicking and screaming across the line, which is the mark of a great player, because it's hard to do that in games like Overwatch, I feel.
Is he Flatter 2.0? But actually won games?
You're not wrong.
He does deadlift. Stalker does deadlift. I really do think players that can deadlift are truly the best players in the game.
Agreed.
And in a game like Overwatch, where it's fundamentally more difficult to be a deadlift player, anyone that can do that, that's like swimming upstream. Like you're really doing something special if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Seoul is locked in for best DPS at all. I think you have to, the consideration has, you have to reason me out it not being so.
So you're saying Seoul do have the best DPS?
I think Seoul are the gold standard, and if someone wants to make the argument that it is someone else, then I'm willing to entertain that, but that is currently my assumption.
I think the only team you can do it with is Chung at the current.
Yeah.
And you're stretching pretty significantly.
Because the problem with other teams is like San Francisco have Proper, but then after that it gets a bit less. You should get there. If everyone plays the potential, you should actually be there with Gladiators, to be in all honesty.
Yeah.
But I think there's just a lot of people down on where Arns and Patty Pan are. So that aside, I mean, there's Flitterlip and Who Are You, but I think people are not big on Who Are You. But then I
I
don't
mean,
think
do we
he's going to get
count
played
Who Are
anyway.
You though? I would imagine you would.
I think he's
kind
there
of
for a
like-
reason, but
You think so? Okay.
I
regardless,
think you have to. Well, if you're talking about like a whole DPS line, you have to talk
Yeah,
about
you'd have
everybody
to.
in the line
So he.
because otherwise you have to just take Prophet and Fitz or one of them in Stalker, and you can't because they're better as a trio. Is the thing for Seoul. So you
Yeah.
have to compare them to the trio of Shanghai,
There's a rumor
even if
that
only two of them will play.
that Lip likes his toilet seat swarmed, so they got Who Are You?
Instead of right, okay, all right,
Okay. How about the
But,
rankings?
all right. Yeah, how about that? I think Seoul for me, currently the second best team in APAC behind Shanghai, and that's mostly because I still have the tank and support line of Shanghai beating out Seoul, even though I think Seoul's DPS line compete very closely.
Mhm.
So there's that. Seoul also one of the top teams in the world, easily top 5 in the world, maybe even. Especially if Chengdu shits the bed on their roster, then Seoul instantly replaced Chengdu for me in that top 3.
sure. Agreed with you there. Yeah, I have a similar APAC ranking. I have them second. It's not close.
Same.
Even with me being as poo-poo as I am on Smurf, it's less poo-poo. It's more of just like questions. I just don't have the footage to be able to
Yeah.
leverage him up to the rest of them, right? I still think he's very good. I think he's going to do great things for this team. There are just some question marks at main tank for me. I think that it's more than enough kind of overcompensated with this incredible DPS trio. Right now, I have them anywhere in terms of a range globally. I could see them being anywhere from like second to sixth at the lowest. If I'm to be completely honest, like I genuinely think like all firing on all cylinders. Prophet, Stalker are fucking nutting. Smurf is the fucking next coming of Diva Christ. Yeah, I think they could be better than somebody like the Fuel or the Rain, and I don't think it'll be particularly all that close. Soul's good.
I have them third in APAC behind Chengdu and Shanghai.
Okay.
And I think it's very close. I think it's
Mhm.
like if I, because I have them fifth and sixth in my world, so I have them like super close. I have the same like trepidations about Seoul's tank line, and
Mhm.
I think their support line is currently worse than the Chengdu one. The DPS line I think is like I would probably say at this point like significantly better than Chengdu, because I think the problem with Chengdu's DPS line is that Jinmu is such a funny hero type
Yeah.
of player, and Seoul doesn't really have that with their 3. They have like 3 just fucking studs.
Mhm.
So that's where I kind of stand with them. I think if should any changes happen to the Chengdu roster, I think they immediately fall down to third, and Seoul takes that spot. Especially, and same with my world ranking.
I think saying Chengdu being second in the world is a fine opinion to have for someone who's a crypto billionaire and can finance that team.
I didn't say the world. Did I say the world? No, I meant APAC. Did I say
APAC.
world?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
I peeved.
Okay.
So where do you think Soul's gonna be?
Yeah, where's your
Yeah,
rankings?
please,
then?
Yiska, come on.
We've been here for a long time.
I mean,
dude.
okay,
Come on, we got 4 more to do.
Real talk. I think Seoul is the most likely team if you want to dethrone Shanghai.
Ooh.
Yeah, yep.
I'm not mad at that. Not mad
I
at
don't
that.
hate
I
that.
think
yeah.
they were, especially with Jonak, I remember looking at the roster and be like, these guys are building a Shanghai killer team.
True.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting Seoul and Shanghai to have some great games. Unfortunately, the Seoul versus Fusion meme matchup kind of dies for me. I loved doing that as a possible rivalry, but I don't think it's going to be much of a rivalry this year.
Yeah.
Seoul versus Shanghai should be the spiciest rivalry in APAC.
Yep.
Those top
So-
3 are going to be great, though. Like, all of them are going to be good matches.
Yeah.
Mm.
Again, pending what happens to Chengdu, but hoping for the
true.
best here. So that concludes our Seoul Dynasty team preview for TCP of 2022. Great news for Seoul fans, but you guys have also had plenty of pain in the past to get through. You've been close multiple times, a lot of second places.
Agree.
Could 2022 be your year? Tune into the Overwatch to find out. Thanks to Thank you for watching our team preview. We're going to move on to the next team now, and the final team for this. Oh, we're done, aren't we? No, we just did the final team for this episode. 255 is done and dusted. We'll see you for 256. Thank you. More teams. 4 more APAC teams still to go. See you next episode.